The night was cold, the streets nearly empty, and the faint hum of streetlights echoed in the silence. Officer James Holloway thought it would be just another shift, routine patrol, paperwork, maybe a noise complaint or two. But then he saw her. To support this channel, kindly like and hit the subscribe button for more thrilling content. A little girl, no older than 10, curled up on a bus stop bench with her backpack clutched tightly to her chest. Her shoes were worn, her jacket too thin for the weather, and her eyes, though half-closed in exhaustion, held the kind of sadness no child should carry. At first, James thought she was just waiting for a late bus. But then he noticed her again, and again, night after night, in the same spot, under the same flickering streetlight. That's when the questions began. Who was she? Why was she here? Where were her parents? And when he finally found the answer, it broke him, because the truth was far worse than he could have imagined, and it would change both of their lives forever. Officer James Holloway had worn the badge for almost 20 years. In that time, he had seen his fair share of tragedy. Families torn apart by violence, children caught in situations beyond their control. But he had also seen resilience, hope, and the power of small acts of kindness. Still, there was something about this girl that unsettled him in a way nothing else had. Every night around 10 p.m., when his patrol car passed down Jefferson Avenue, there she was, a small figure huddled on the bench, her dark curls framing her tired face. She wasn't on her phone, wasn't reading a book, wasn't even looking for anyone. She just sat there, quiet, still, waiting. At first, James told himself it wasn't his place. Maybe she lived nearby. Maybe her mom worked the night shift and picked her up after. But when weeks passed and the pattern never changed, James realized something was terribly wrong, and he couldn't just look away anymore. One particularly cold night, James pulled his cruiser over and stepped out. His boots crunched on the pavement as he approached. The girl immediately stiffened, her small hands gripping her backpack straps like it was her only protection. "Hey there," James said softly, keeping his voice gentle. "Don't be scared. My name's James. I'm with the police department. I just wanted to check if you're okay." The girl's eyes darted toward him, wide and suspicious. "I'm fine," she whispered. James crouched down to her level, noticing the way her lips trembled, the way her shoulders curled inward like she wanted to disappear. "You sure?" he asked. "It's pretty late and cold. Do you live nearby?" She shook her head quickly. "I'm waiting." "For who?" James asked. Her gaze flickered to the empty street, then back down to the ground. "For my mom." Something in James's chest tightened. Over the next few days, James couldn't stop thinking about her. He drove by after his shifts, and sure enough, she was always there. He started bringing small things, a blanket one night, a hot chocolate another, a sandwich wrapped in foil. At first, she resisted, mumbling, "I don't need it." But slowly, reluctantly, she began to accept his offerings. Still, whenever he asked about her mom or her home, she shut down. James knew enough not to push. Trust wasn't built in a day. But the question haunted him. Why would a little girl choose a bus stop over a bed? One night, a storm rolled through the city. Rain hammered the streets, the wind howled, and the bus stop offered little shelter. James drove straight there, panic tightening his chest. And there she was, soaked to the bone, shivering under the tiny overhang. He rushed over, pulling off his jacket and wrapping it around her small frame. "You're going to get sick out here," he said, his voice breaking. The girl's teeth chattered as she whispered, "I can't leave. What if she comes back?" James froze. "Who?" "My mom." Tears filled her eyes. "She used to take this bus every day, to work, to the store, always from here. She promised she'd come back. So I'm waiting, because promises mean something, right?" Her voice cracked, and she buried her face in her knees. James felt his heart shatter. He already knew the answer, but he asked anyway. "Sweetheart, where is your mom now?" The words came out like a knife. "She died a few months ago. And then, my stepdad said he couldn't take care of me. He told me to go figure it out. So I came here, because maybe if I wait long enough, she'll come back on the bus." James's vision blurred. Rain mixed with tears as he pulled the little girl, Maya, into his arms. This wasn't just a lost child. This was abandonment. This was grief no 10-year-old should ever bear. That night, James made a vow. He couldn't let Maya spend another night on that bench. He couldn't leave her to the mercy of strangers and storms. The system wasn't kind. There were forms, procedures, questions. But James refused to let her slip through the cracks. He arranged for emergency foster placement. But when no one stepped up immediately, he took her in himself. For the first time in months, Maya slept in a real bed. And for the first time in his life, James realized he wasn't just saving her. She was saving him too. At first, Maya was quiet, withdrawn. She ate quickly, like she feared the food might vanish. She jumped at loud noises. She avoided eye contact. But little by little, she began to trust. She laughed at James's clumsy attempts at cooking. She left drawings on the fridge. She started opening up about her mom, how she used to sing while folding laundry, how she always kissed Maya on the forehead before work. James listened to every story, holding onto them like treasures. He realized he couldn't just be a temporary guardian. He wanted to be her forever home. Months passed. Maya flourished in school, her grades climbing, her smile returning. She joined the school choir, her voice carrying the same warmth her mother once gave her. And James? He found himself transformed. The tough cop who once buried his emotions now cried openly at choir recitals, laughed at bedtime stories, and learned how to braid curly hair after watching hours of YouTube tutorials. Eventually, James adopted Maya. The night the judge signed the papers, Maya clung to him and whispered, "You kept your promise. You didn't leave." And James realized that sometimes family isn't about blood. It's about who shows up. Maya had gone to that bus stop every night hoping her mom would come back. What she found instead was someone she never expected. A man who refused to look away, who cared enough to stop, who chose her when no one else did. And James? He thought he was just doing his duty. But in the end, he gained something greater than he'd ever imagined. A daughter. Because sometimes, saving a life doesn't happen in a grand act of heroism. Sometimes it happens quietly, on a lonely street corner under a flickering light, when one person decides not to pass by. And in that choice, 2 lives are changed forever. Thanks for watching.